Here we go. All right. Welcome back. For those of you that are out of summer mode, congratulations. I am still in summer mode. So bear with me in August. I'll be way more prepared. I promise in September. I know, bear with me in August. I'll be prepared in September, not prepared. High Prairie School Division would like to acknowledge that we're meeting today in High Prairie, located with the ancestral and traditional territory of the Indigenous people of this area. This land is and will continue to be home to the Cree, Dene, Métis, and other First Nations residing within the boundaries of Treaty 8. We acknowledge the elders and knowledge holders that are still with us today and those that have gone before us. We would also like to acknowledge this land is also home to the four-legged, the flying, crawling, and swimming things. It's also home to the rock beings and the plant nations. We share this land with many others, and we must walk carefully and be mindful of the impacts we have on those we share the sacred land, air, and water with. We borrow these lands from our future generations, so we must leave them a healthy environment in which they can thrive. It's a privilege and an honor to live, work, play, and grow on Treaty 8 territory. Looking for any additions to the open agenda. Any additions to the open agenda? No. Any additions to the open agenda? Seeing none? Well, for a motion to approve the agenda. Tammy?
I don't have my computer going, but I make the motion to approve the agenda
As
as
presented.
presented.
And all those in favor? Thank you. That's carried. Adoption of our previous minutes from our June meeting. Feels like it was a long time ago. Lori?
I'll make a motion that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees held June 17th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
Thank you. And call the question. All those in favor? I wish you were the reader for the book that I'm listening to right now on my audio.
There's a new career for you.
Yeah, I'd be so engaged. You're such a good.
You might have to white out all the bad words. I think.
You're such a good.
They have books that you can actually say that.
Yeah. Such a good speaker and reader. I could listen to that. All right, let's get started. We have our first delegation. 6.1. Keenan? Take it away.
And everyone, thank you very much for having me today. I'd like to provide a quick update on staffing and HR activity across the school division. Packet, the first page kind of summarizes a lot of what I'm going to be talking to, but I will make reference to the chart afterwards. And it's pretty interesting as we start with some.
Not double-sided, like what?
No.
Overwhelming.
Thank you. Thank you, Keenan, for not double siding things.
Yes, thank you. So we're up.
We're keeping a whole industry employed. Just not softwood.
So for our workforce snapshot, our recruitment efforts began all the way back in January, and I'm pleased to report that so far we've successfully hired 31 teachers. At the moment, we have just one vacancy remaining, which was the result of a late leave of absence. In addition, we have one position being covered under a temporary contract while we continue to recruit for a long term. I do want to highlight that this level of staffing success comes in spite of ongoing shortages across the province and the potential for strike action. So the chart on the back is what I'm going to refer to. According to Applied Education, this is data that I pulled first thing this morning. There are 147 full-time teaching or leadership positions open in Alberta, along with 341 in Ontario and 275 in British Columbia as the three that are still actively recruiting right now. This paints a pretty clear picture of the competitive environment that we're operating against, but also makes us more introspective as we look at our practices to ensure that we are hitting those high retention rates, but that we're also ensuring that we put that into local pipelines. And that's where practicum and teaching pipelines come in. So one of our strongest pathways for recruitment remains our practicum partnerships. We can share that we've been able to place all 8 of our practicum student requests for this fall, and we're anticipating another 7 requests from the USC later this week. So that's kind of our bread and butter. The practicum pipeline is not just about filling placements, it's also about developing homegrown teachers, which ultimately is what we want. By supporting student teachers here in our classrooms and communities, we're building a workforce that understands our context and is more likely to stay long-term. This is one of the most important opportunities for sustaining our teacher workforce in the years ahead. In regard to career fairs and different outreach programming, the 25-26 career fair season is underway. We already have some bookings in place. Confirmed at the U of A so far, and I'm waiting registration for the U of C, King's University, Concordia, and Northwestern Polytechnic. You'll notice that I don't have USask on there. We did go to Saskatchewan last year. I was unsuccessful in hiring anyone from there. So that's where I'm looking to scale back and potentially invest in other markets as well. But as the data kind of showed from applied education, Ontario is such a robust market, and I don't think that us going fully out east is going to be prudent for us or cost effective. So we're going to avoid that. We will, in addition to in-person events, explore online career fairs with applied education, with a caveat, with a particular focus on reaching new graduates and those who've already identified that they would like to work out west. In a lot of cases, when we do some of these applied ed career fairs, it's a lot of people looking to move into Canada, and we end up spending a lot of time just kind of identifying pathways for them. So we're looking to become a bit more streamlined in our approach, and we have been successful in the past couple of years with applied education too, just kind of appealing to a wide demographic. These efforts allow us to actively recruit in areas of our greatest need, and they continue to be math, science, and bilingual teachers, while also strengthening our reputation with prospective candidates. And beyond just these career fairs, we're looking for ways to raise our profile for HR by taking on speaking opportunities with universities and continuing to represent our division on boards and committees, making sure our name is in front of the next generation of teachers. So in some cases, this will be like FEedPAC committee, which is just a field experience committee for the U of C. It's about our practicum students. It just gives us a seat at the table to find out what their program looks like, what courses are being offered, and we always have the ability to provide them feedback as we look to really build out a strong teacher pool. I would like to give some shout outs as well. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible team effort that makes all of this possible. So from Sandra and Nadine supporting contracts, to the payroll team ensuring that everything runs smoothly, to our administrators who really are in recruitment on the ground. It really is a collective effort from everyone to ensure that we're able to work at a high level. And on a personal note, I want to thank our superintendents for their mentorship and guidance, which has been invaluable in navigating the complexities of HR. And oh boy, are there ever complexities.
It's sad, understatement of ignorance.
Supporting our recruitment and retention initiatives. Recruiting and retaining staff at this scale only happens when everyone pulls together. Again, I want to extend sincere thanks across our division for all the efforts that go forth in ensuring that we have strong teachers in front of our kids. So in summary, despite a highly competitive labor market and the broader uncertainties facing education at the moment in our province, we've been able to hire 31 new teachers since January, filled practicum placements with more in the pipeline, launched both in-person and online career fair recruitments early, build sustainable opportunities for growing and retaining homegrown teachers, and again, do it all through the strength of a dedicated and collaborative team.
Thank you. Lynn?
Those 31 new teachers, do they have places to stay?
Yeah, I believe all are. House, which is fantastic.
That's surprising here.
Again, one of the beauties there, that's kind of relying on admin being that local expertise. And one of the things that they're really good at doing as well, if they are struggling to find accommodations, then they can reach out to us. We've had a lot of people in community reach out to human resources and just ask to hold their name and number just in case they have a property available. And it's starting to turn into a bit of a network in spite of housing shortages in all of our communities. So we've been fortunate.
That's awesome.
Karen?
Career fair planning, you mentioned you dropped USask because of low numbers or lower or zero recruitment, right? I know in the past we have gone to the east, Ontario, Quebec, I want to say,
New Brunswick.
New Brunswick as well.
Yeah, because that's where Gail went with.
Just keeping it within Alberta, knowing Alberta has a high francophone population, but just keeping it within Alberta, limit our access to French speaking teachers.
I would target the applied ed ones for that. Obviously, our relationship with FECTA is really important, but the applied ed ones, they also have ones for French language speakers as well. So that's part of our targeted. The reality is if we go to Ontario, our teachers make more than we do here, and then add in cost of living and relocation for us to be competitive. And then on the East Coast, so New Brunswick is always a fantastic area for us to recruit in before. They have jobs now. Like there's no shortage over there. People can graduate within the East Coast and find a job in the East Coast.
Right.
There's less incentive for people to relocate. So that's for me, we're really leaning in on some of those early recruitment efforts, maybe leaning in on our career coaches early so that some of our high school grads can become our future teachers as well, and making sure that we support them along that process.
Love that there's at least a plan for that.
What about going north to like? Well, there's territories,
Yeah.
if there's, it looks like they got a smaller number of. So,
We definitely could. I think they're kind of in the same kind of area where anyone that graduates from those programs finds work, and then they're actively trying to recruit in all the
Okay.
time as well. And for the territories, for the most part, my understanding is that the government actually, instead of the school districts, operates on the level of recruitment as well.
oh, really?
So I met a fellow who worked at Nunavut, and he does recruiting across a bunch of different sectors, including education, and they're at every career fair. But again, it's more and more competitive as we are entering just a massive teacher shortage in North America. So it's just making us really think of homegrown more than.
Fair. Good, appreciate the answer.
I think it should be said that although Keenan, you're very gracious about thanking the rest of the team, I think we need to be keenly aware of Keenan often will start his morning at 5 a.m. because he's connecting with Eastern Canadian candidates. He's interviewing, doing pre-screening, those sorts of things, all the work that happens after 6. Because as we know, students or people are at work during the day. And part of the reason why that Keenan is able to recruit and be successful in his recruiting, because we are ostensibly staffed, is the fact that he is working those atypical hours and accommodating the candidates' schedules. So I thank you for that. Nobody likes to start a job interview at 5 in the morning, but that's Keenan has done that with grace and with great vigor, and we are certainly reaping the benefits for it. So thank you, Keenan.
Question, Keenan, so then this graph on the back, so roughly, across Canada, we're looking for 1,000 teachers still? Okay, question for you, and maybe it's not for now, and you could bring it, but the graduation rate, in Alberta for teachers, say 2020, so 2019, the number of teachers graduated in 2019 compared to the number of teachers graduated in 2025. Would you say there's a substantial difference?
I don't know, without looking at the macro data, I do know that we need to kind of look for the teacher ed programs. That's part of why those feedback committees are so important. Shift between a 2-year cert versus the 1 year. I know in Alberta, they are actively considering that 1 year to address. You know, back in Ontario, they're doing the exact same thing as well. I'm part of a 1 year program, then they went to the 2-year program, and now they're looking at reverting back. So I think across the country, they're going to come to terms with these. And I should note as well that this is on the low end as well, the data on here. So this is just for school districts. So this doesn't include any of the federal schools. And these are just the ones that are part of applied education. So there are a lot of jurisdictions that are not applied education, though it is the main one. So you see Quebec's not here, for example, they use Indeed, and on the East Coast, they use Indeed quite a bit as well. Even in Alberta, there are some. So the data is skewed, but this is like a generous look of what the needs are across the country right now. And if we actually had all the relevant data, the number would grow exponentially.
Oh, so this doesn't talk about charter or private schools
Oh,
or?
no. Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
That's what I'm looking for. That's the information.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, thank you for that, because if we had a really good look, we'd be short a lot more teachers across our country, let alone just in our own province.
Yeah, so just school districts.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, that's-
So I track it, and there was a jump yesterday. So I originally did this last night before I left work. And then when first thing I came in this morning, I checked again, and Ontario and BC had a bump again. They're looking for more positions. So it's evolving a lot right now. And with the uncertainty going on with the strike action looming. I don't know what the future holds, but thankfully we've been successful.
Would you say, Keenan, that that was probably one of your biggest barriers this year with recruiting was the potential strike action?
Absolutely, especially with a lot of our folks out east. So I'd get up at 5 a.m. I'd have a really successful pre-screening and I'd want to take them to the next level where our principals would interview them directly and ask some pretty challenging questions. But when they became aware of the uncertainty regarding a potential strike, they would pull out of that right away. And we also have a lot of young teachers in like the Edmonton area that I talked to, just graduates who are looking at young lady I talked to is working as an office assistant, another one's in retail. Mountain equipment as an assistant gig, and she's not willing to give that up until everything else. So
We have to do what we have to do, right?
Well, thank you, Keenan, for all your hard work and coming into this position. And, yeah, we appreciate all the information and your early mornings and late nights and, in your team effort, with your team. So, yeah, thank you for that.
thank you all so much.
Thank you.
So as we get, we don't even have to get ready. As I turn my head and we are going to do our next delegation. Whoa, wow, it is. I am not prepared. Sheldon, when you're ready, you take it away and yeah. We'll have a presentation from the Transportation Department. I got him a phone. I don't know if I'm going all the way to Calgary. It will not have this plane does it's not. It's clear. It's not like happening.
Kyle said. Alright.
Wait. That's the one. It could be. Sorry. Look at that.
And we're gonna hear from the question. This was a rainbow.
We're gonna also be.
Whatever should be, we should have done it by the.
Yeah.
We're stone colors.
I know. Oh. Really think.
Yeah, I know, I was thinking.
Ready to share your screen?
Horrible. What happened? No. Get exactly like the break off.
Progress.
Lindsay.
We are having some technical difficulties today.
Sure.
You really think that? Sheldon's on too?
Yes.
That's a. May just be in it. He doesn't even put Foss in it. Yeah, he still says.
Okay, sorry about that. Oh, it'd be great when it works. All right, am I good to start? Okay. All right, thank you for having me. What I would like to do is give you a bit of an overall summary of red light flyby violations for the 24-25 school year. And just give you just a bit of a brief update at the end of where we're at with our busing and routing plans for the school year. So as you know from the past presentations this year, red light violations unfortunately are a very real thing. And we are working to try and mitigate some of the events that we see happening around the division. We have made progress in a number of areas. So for September of 24 to June of 25 overall for the year. So we saw 48 reportable instances. So 1 in every 4 days that we would say that were captured. And so there were actually 85 instances, which is almost 1 every 2 days across the division that happened. And so you might be saying, well, what's the difference between something that happened and something that was captured? And as I've mentioned in past meetings, when it happens, it doesn't necessarily get sent into the RCMP because we can't grab a license plate. Things are blurry, but it was reported, it was sent in by the drivers. So for an actual breakdown, you see for our East End, West End, and Central, so a 41-28, so 41 instances that happened. 28 were actually captured, about 50-50, so 13 that were captured of 26 instances in the West End, and 7 out of 18 in our central area. So hot zones we've talked about, so our Slave Lake area, it came across through the year as a hot zone. But that's not entirely accurate because, as you know, we installed the big 6-foot long arm in that area. And when I get to the end of the slide presentation, you'll see the change that had. But overall, it's still reported as a hot zone. Highway 2 just west of Slave Lake, that also was a hot zone that we have now remedied because we now have the 6-foot arm in that area as well. Highway 2 just west of Anilda is still a little bit of a hot zone. And the town of Falher, the in-town area, we had kind of a bit of a 2-month span there where everybody became an IndyCar race driver for a while. And unfortunately, we had a lot of instances where they did get caught.
That would be in town, not at the school, but at the drop off by the bee.
Good, yeah, there was a few there, but there was also a few right in front of the school.
Right at the school, okay.
So in terms of across the division, so 25 of these were in town that were reported, 5 actually right in front of the schools where the vehicles are parked, and then 18 out on the highway. And again, just to repeat the numbers down there of the ones that are reportable for the RCMP. I would venture to say, again, that these numbers are actually higher than they are. You overhear drivers talking of something that happened, but it was too dark, it was blurry, it was fuzzy. They let me know about it, but there's just no footage or anything to capture because it's early morning hours and it's too dark.
What do you do with that other than maybe being a training moment?
What do I do with the drivers, you mean?
Well, you get these reports and it's too dark, it's too blurry, it's too whatever.
Yeah.
What do you do with those?
So there's not much that I can do with them. You know, I ask them to be vigilant, tell them to hold their lane. Drivers sometimes tend to move over because they worry about the traffic that's oncoming. They don't want to be blocking traffic. They don't want to be seen as an obstacle, but I'm like, no, you have the full right to be in that lane.
Yeah,
So just hold your lane, because the further you move over towards the shoulder, the more bolder drivers are gonna be to go past it. But if you're stuck way over and you're holding your lane, then it'll make drivers hopefully think twice.
fair enough, yeah.
No real change for AM and PM, so it's an even split across the division in terms of the time of day that these are happening. And again, there's no real pattern noted as to the month that it would happen. So as you can see, March, I mean, I guess spring fever, everybody gets a little bit of a heavier pedal and wants to get to where they're going with the nice weather maybe. I don't know if that would be something that we would see year over year repeated. But there you see the total violation counts per month. So we've talked about public education of red light flybys. I did mention earlier about the STAA writing a letter to the Minister of Transportation requesting more awareness and more funding to do some campaign awareness about the importance. The minister did respond in January, did say that the department was unable to give resources to this, and did suggest that school boards, municipalities kind of do some of their own internal work in terms of building awareness. So what we did is we took some matters into our own hands. As you can see on the second bullet, on bus 205, we did put in one of the 6-foot long arms there. So there were 2 times more flybys there than any other route at the time. And since then, there have been 0 flybys on that route. We did a second install about a month and a half later on bus 201, which was the second most flybys. And since the install, we were at 0. And then in the last 10 days of school, we got 2 people that got brave and decided to fly through that. I do have a video of the one here that I'll show you shortly. But it did definitely crack down on the number of flybys.
Sheldon, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So if they were to fly by, they are going to hit that big stop sign that's hanging off the arm.
Well, so it doesn't unfortunately go all the way to the ditch. So it does go into the other lane, but the drivers can still go.
Sneak around it.
It's like about halfway.
So we'll need to do some more work in Slave Lake. Some spot, yeah, okay, I gotta. Make it.
So there's his arm out and.
Jeez.
So,
Come on, it's a fuel truck.
I was gonna say, it's
yeah, it was a fuel truck from a distributor in
like
Slave Lake.
that truck.
Oh, instantly, I'm just thinking, well, that's a great visit tomorrow. Get on.
It's, that was captured, that was, and he did issue a ticket, and that was a conversation with that company in regard to that event.
And did you have a conversation? The RCMP had a conversation? Who has the conversation?
So,
I'm sweating here now thinking I might have the conversation.
so it went, so initially I made the phone call.
Okay.
Spoke to the manager of the organization.
Okay.
Said, this is what we have on video, it's unit number, blah, blah, blah. He said that he would have a conversation with the employee. And then he said, well, what's next? I said, well, this is gonna go to the RCMP. I said, they will issue a ticket. And so he just said he will pass the ticket along to the individual who was driving that vehicle.
Hopefully they have a good conversation about student safety, because I mean, the whole real bottom line is when that bus is stopped letting off kids, you could just kill them. Like, there's no way around this. You're ripping like that, you're going fast, the bus is huge, the arm is out, it says stop, you are obviously not paying attention. But the bottom line is that's someone's precious cargo that they have on that bus that they want home at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And we did have on this route, we did have that driver stop. A vehicle came up very fast behind them and actually looked like it was gonna go to the right. And then I think it realized on the shoulder it didn't have enough area and it kind of came to a stop, but you could see the vehicle and then jolt to a stop. So, you know, people are, I don't know, they're not thinking this through well at all. And they get in a rush and yeah, it's.
That's half our problem, I think, in the world in general, is we're always in a rush, we're always late for something, we're always going and going, but again, that's someone's precious cargo on that bus. They want that precious cargo home. And if something happens and their precious cargo doesn't make it home, so just slow down, put your phone down, just take your time. The bus is only gonna be 30 seconds. All the little kids are gonna get off, they're gonna cross the road, they're gonna be on the sidewalk and back into where they belong. Yeah, just slow down a little bit.
And just think about yourself, if you hit a child, how it changes you too.
Yes,
Like,
right?
that's-
How it changes your whole community.
Absolutely.
And how nobody wants me knocking on their door if their precious cargo doesn't get home. Cause I'm not that nice. Like, this is stuff that really bothers me because it's so preventable and it can be such a life impact. Or you can just slow down and let the little guys get off and the big guys get off and then you go.
Yeah, yep, for sure.
Okay. Sorry, it's my soapbox, I'll get off that, but.
And so, and just a little bit of a, I guess, a highlight or low light, I guess, if you wanna call it, so. We had in Falaire, we had a flyby on May 15th. It was a Ford truck, did a flyby at the school, actually went by every single bus. We did capture the license plate, we did send it to the RCMP. The RCMP called me the next day and informed me that this was a vehicle that was stolen in Medicine Hat. And this was the first time it had surfaced, so they knew it was in the Falaire area. But it was just basically because they had the license plate, so apparently the thief did not take the time to change the license plate. And
They often
now
don't.
it's in northern Alberta.
That's in the, ah.
Wow.
Labrador in transportation.
Oh.
So public education, so I have regular conversations with constables and members of the detachments in High Prairie, McLennan and Slave Lake. And we have a really good relationship, and so as we start the school year, they have said that they will be out and about to make sure that their presence are known and seen out there, so hopefully we have less in numbers for this school year than we did last school year. And then I also I was asked to give a little bit of an update just in regard to busing for the coming year. So I'll kind of work my way from Slave Lake going west. So in Slave Lake, we don't currently have any changes. So we have same amount of runs as we had for last year. Same in Jussard, Canuso and High Prairie. The introduction that we have here is that in the West End, we have created an in-town run that will serve McLennan, Falaire and Donnelly. What we had last year, as you know, we went from 9 down to 7 because we had some drivers go on leave. And so we had some what looked like pretty full buses that were doing our rural run and then doing the in-town pickups as well, which made not only for full buses, but also longer runs. We were able to establish an in-town run that will do all of those pickups of the 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer from school. And then we're able to pull 6 or 7 kids off each of those extended rural runs, which makes for less on the bus and a little less time in terms of runs. That is.
So this year, we will not have parents that need to drive their kids to school.
Not that I would be aware of, I do
Not
not
as of today.
believe, not unless
Somebody goes on.
Unless you get a call something where
Yeah.
everybody has to.
Yeah.
And I should also add, we have also introduced for High Prairie and in the West End, we have a full-time spare. So we have hired a driver who's gonna be a full-time spare. She is also willing if we run into a jam where she would go to Slave Lake and fill in where needed as well. So she is designated, so even on days where she has no run, she will be assigned time working with bus maintenance, doing cleanup, cleaning up the compound, doing just the things that transporting a bus to the compound in Donnelly if needed. So that's a big plus as well. So we're actually, I think, going into this year, are here to be in decent shape.
So question, we have this little pamphlet
Yes.
here. Yeah, did you guys design this for this year? Like, and all the students getting, like all the people that'll go on the bus will get one of these?
So that's going to go to the parents.
Okay, yeah,
So I can't, I have to give full credit where credit is due. So this was Kyle Shop that came up with the idea of coming up with the pictures and the graphics. So as you know, when parents get papers that go home and it lists 5 paragraphs of here's the rules for the bus, here's, you know where that usually ends up. So now we have something that has some graphics and some information attached to it where it's quick, it's snappy, it's colorful. And they can bring it home and say, here's the rules for the bus, here's the things to be aware of. So, yeah. Sorry, I can't see what you.
QR code.
Oh, yes, sorry, and it has a QR code where they can take their phones, snap a picture of it, and then it will come up with the, take us to the website where all of good busing and transportation information is housed.
Will you be contacting now that FOST is back to being its own RCMP?
I'm sorry,
And FOST is now its own RCMP. It's not under High Prairie's jurisdiction anymore.
okay, okay, oh, that's good.
Once again,
Okay, that's good for me to know. If,
Yeah, go ahead, Karen.
Thank you. I think I brought this up last year at this presentation as well. So I really appreciate the fact that we have a good rapport with the local RCMP detachment in this regard. And that they're willing to do more patrolling and all that kind of stuff. In the past, we've done campaigns and blitzes in collaboration with local RCMP detachments where they were there physically. Beginning of the school year, maybe again in March, something like that, in, you know, the times that would warrant it the most, like beginning of spring, that kind of thing. It sort of puts a more positive spin to it as opposed to, oh, they're patrolling, everybody be on guard, and just, it focuses more on the education point, the education factor.
Yeah.
And they would give whatever it was, pamphlets or cards or whatever it was that.
Sure.
Cup wrappers one time, didn't
Yeah, there were cup wrappers, yeah, that's right, for paper cups and that kind of thing, just as a little blitz and just a little, a reminder, it's spring, we're all gonna wanna be driving a little faster, but let's still be aware that it's.
Yeah.
You know, school buses are out, like that kind of thing, so
Yeah.
I don't know if the detachments, the current detachment officials or whatever they're called would be willing to do that, but I think that would, it just adds a little positivity and it focuses on the education, which is what we're.
Yeah.
As well.
yeah,
And
no,
I'd rather try to get to people before it is a violation.
right,
If possible.
yeah. Oh, for sure, absolutely. And then they've been very vocal in saying that, you know, they understand the seriousness of this. And so they are going to be out and about, and yeah, certainly I will have a conversation about, like, say, the spring conversation and as the weather warms up. I mean, we saw, I don't know if it'll be a pattern, but in March, there was definitely a little bit of an uptick of those flybys, so.
And that's probably especially for in town, like at the schools, it seems like it's more of a thing for some reason, but it's not here. So beginning of the school year reminder and then maybe a mid-year reminder, and maybe they have ideas on, you know, what kind of blitzes that would make sense for
Right.
their communities as well, but
Yeah.
collaboration would really be a great thing if all parties are willing.
Yeah, for sure.
Sheldon, do we still have those big signs that we put in the ditch and put up like in town and along there that say, you know, it's 6 demerits and the fine, and like, do we still put those things out?
Still one by the elementary. I think there's still a big sign that you can see when you get to the stop sign just before you head north of town.
Yeah.
I know for sure there's one there,
Okay.
so yeah.
Slave Lake, they might need a reminder. I feel like they might need a few reminders in Slave Lake. So yeah, I don't know if they need a pamphlet in the mailbox for everyone, or if they need a bright flashing sign, or what they need, but obviously, yeah, obviously a big yellow school bus with an arm that says stop Slave Lake struggling, with realizing that. So yeah, I'm not sure. I remember seeing them before, and there was one kind of by the dog park in Slave Lake too, because where the teenagers coming like out of Roland Michener at that 3-way, there was just that reminder of like, hey, you know, school's starting and those kind of things, is to get people back. But I do remember seeing that, and I remember that the price, like when you put on whatever, it's $569 or something, and 6 demerits, it kind of like, oh geez, I mean, you know, it just sparks that, oh yeah, school's back in again, and pay attention. And for young kids, I mean, they're driving from the high school, right? We've all been a young kid once in a while, crank the tunes up, grab the gear. But, you know, with that kind of stuff just present, it just is that constant reminder of, yeah, I gotta slow down a bit, like.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'll make note of that. I think having those 2 7-foot arms, like I said, they went on in like February, March, and we literally went in the Slave Lake area, we went for 3 months with only having 1 or 2 on the regular buses, and those big long ones never got touched. Like I said, it was just 2 in the last 10 days of school where people started to do that. So
Yeah.
I think we'll see a downtick
Good.
this year.
I hope so.
Sheldon, how many are you looking at additional arms?
Was just gonna stop.
Well, that's a funding question, right? So I mean, it's
Talking to the right people.
I mean, it's certainly something that, I mean, we can have a look at and see what the pattern looks like, for the first couple months. and see where we have, you know, if the hotspots are continuous with what we saw from last year. But certainly if the board was open to the idea of it, I mean, they're about $5,000 or $6,000 a piece. So we would certainly be open to the idea of installing them. They certainly, I mean, the proof is in the pudding here. The numbers are way down from where they were. Yeah, and it's funny on a couple of the videos I was watching, when the arm comes out and the people stop. Like you watch the video, they actually stick their head out the window. And they're like, is that a real thing? Like that 7-foot long thing?
That was my first reaction, because when I was down in Edmonton area, that's when I saw it for the first time, and I did exactly the same thing. So, yeah, exactly.
And you install them yourself, don't you?
Me personally,
No,
they don't want me doing any of that kind of stuff.
We installing.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
the boy is actually Colton, he's become kind of the expert on it, so they just hand him the box and give him a bus and
Yeah,
away he
sure,
goes.
good.
Yep.
Well, thank you to you and your team, and we're looking for a successful start with buses and routes for this 25-26 school year. We're always nervous. Government makes changes, we make changes, government makes changes again, we make changes again, or you do, we don't, you make changes again. And yeah, so thank you to you and your team for this, and thanks to your bus drivers and everyone that's coming back again this year, and we look forward to transporting some precious cargo to get educated.
Excellent.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to our next delegation as Sheldon and exits. We'll have the safety officer for a year and review.
Everybody,
Hello.
Kyle told me to.
That's why. Don't give him that much. He couldn't get us on, YouTube, so don't worry. Yeah, we are.
We'll be on YouTube later.
Just remember, we're still recording.
I just meant his head shouldn't be too terribly swollen.
Okay, now I just gotta figure out how to share my presentation. Well, so I can see the notes and the notes, I don't care either way.
Just kidding.
Oh, boy.
Right?
Right. Okay. So this is the year-end update from last school year, and you're welcome to ask questions about this school year. I have some projections and goals as well. So, just a reminder, I guess you guys all know what I do now. I am responsible for ensuring that we are upstanding all of the legislated requirements by OH&S and Fire Code, the Alberta Education Act, and any other workplace safety legislation. So my primary goal is always to establish a safe workplace according to legal standards and fostering a culture of attention to health and safety. A big part of my responsibilities is liaising with external regulatory bodies to ensure ongoing compliance. So also our insurer is another big one that comes into our schools, and we're making sure we're keeping everybody happy. And over the years, I'm getting better at being more proactive instead of reactive, so we know what they're expecting. The expectations do change year over year. They always add more, but
Taking off anything.
yeah. So I'm getting better at orientating the staff so that they're aware of what's coming down the pipeline. And when we get new administrators, I've got a fairly intensive orientation to OH&S program for them. And so getting time with the new administrators, making sure that they're aware of everything that we need to do throughout the year, so nothing's a surprise. Okay, so some stats. Very bright colors. So this is for last year's staff incidents. We had 107 reported incidents among our staff. And as our school continues to improve their incident reporting procedures, there's always, there's been an increase in reporting just due to the increased awareness and understanding of how important it is to report incidents for the purpose of data collection, because I drone on and on about it to all of our sites. So they're getting better about reporting, and that's why we see an increased number. Educational assistants account for 54%. And that is about the same as last year. So in response to that, we have rolled out CEVA training, which we've done quite a bit of last year, and we're going to continue to do. Our goal is to have all of our educational assistants trained in CEVA, and then moving on to other frontline staff that teachers and other certified staff in the schools that will need it as well. WCB statistics. So out of the 107 incidents, there were 8 WCB claims, and this is not for the year, but for the school year. So I try to keep the WCB information relevant to my statistics for you guys. We had 6 lost time incidents. We had 2 medical aid incidents, and these 8 cases fell under the slips, trips, and fall incidents, 2 muscle strain, 1 mental disease, and 1 contact with human. So those are that stat. So, WCB puts out all sorts of different statistics, and you can see it in a bar graph or a line graph or any sort of graph you want. And I could go on and on about it, but just to keep this summary of the important stats for the school year. Slips, trips, and falls are always our #1 incident rate that is in any workplace. So we put a lot of time and effort into gravel deployment in parking lots, making sure that there's always salt available in every lobby of every school. And we do lots of communication about if you see it, report it, and salt it. So lots of that. We're ranked 12 out of 66 in the large business experience rating program, which is really good. We have a 32.28% adjustment discount for our school board. And I was expecting someone to ask me about the mental disease category, so I was ready for that.
Oh, good. I was just gonna ask, so.
Were you okay? Okay, good. So that's it means an employee has developed a psychological or a psychiatric condition as a result of their employment.
Dealing with joy.
100%, there'd be more than 1 on there. Okay.
So stress related words.
Say it again, psychological
or
or,
a psychiatric condition. So yeah, it has to be diagnosed by a doctor and follows the DSM
Diagnosis.
for diagnosis, yeah. And there's a whole bunch of other part of the definition, but that's a good summary of what, and they call it mental disease, that's WCB's wording.
okay, yep.
Okay, next category, is our student incident reporting. So remember, this is throughout our 12 school sites, and our elementary schools are excellent at reporting. So they report.
Or they ever.
Yes, they report everything. So we get a lot of mostly playground incidents, minor stuff, abrasions, little falls off the equipment. So they're all reported. And we had a total of 1,005 reported incidents last year. And those are the categories that they fall under. And the numbers, and it's in line with what we see year over year. Nothing out of the ordinary, mostly just kid incidents on the playground. So I have the sites report incidents anytime that a parent has to be notified, an emergency service is called, or a student is removed from an activity due to an injury or suspected injury. And I always tell them, when in doubt, report the incident. So we have the paperwork. If anything comes up, you have it all documented. They have busy days, they forget what happened. You know, the times are all there in the report, so we report everything. I do every morning, part of my daily task, I go through because I get all of the incident reports and I look through them and I look for sought medical attention or any kind of red flags that would lead me to believe that it was a more like a more serious incident. And if I see any of those, then I read further, and lots of times I'll debrief with the school. So if there's like first aid was provided, so if like a kid chokes and they have to do abdominal thrusts, I'll call the school, make sure that I get in contact with the teacher, the staff member that provided the first aid, make sure they're okay, talk about what went right, what went wrong, if there's any training we can do. And yeah, it's a good way to see what's happening.
Kids don't get to have mental disease.
Sorry?
Kids don't get to have WCB that can't.
No,
They're not covered under WCB.
they're not covered under WCB, no. Okay, so in 2024 and 25 school year, these were some of the projects, some of the bigger projects that I completed. So I went through our noise management program and we got to pilot some new music teacher PPE, which was kind of fun when it comes to safety. So the music teacher, band teachers were happy to try these high fidelity earplugs. And it seemed to go really well. And so we have narrowed it down to a couple different types that worked well and the teachers were happy with. So we're protecting them from the hazard of noise, especially like Roland Mitchner, for example. They have a full-time music teacher, so they have a long-term noise exposure. I've been teaching a lot of first aid. So I've completed 8 staff first aid courses and 6 student courses in the last school year, and it's saving the division about $150 a person. So
Can you tell me about the 6 student courses, is that just 6 students or 6 different groups of students?
yeah, and we try to max them out. So most of our courses have 8. I can teach up to a maximum of 18 at a time. Yeah, so
Holy man.
we've had lots of really big courses.
Okay,
That was in
wonderful.
summer school, right?
Yeah, and summer school as well. I did quite a few. And throughout the year, they get a couple credits as part of a phys ed program. And so I've taught some first aid for students taking that program as well. And yeah, I really like teaching the team.
Nice,
Yeah,
yeah.
every kid should have first aid
Yep,
And they're old enough to
absolutely.
move
No,
on.
it's great and it's a great prerequisite for work and they need it.
And
Can
I
you
would
teach
say
this? I'm
St.
sorry.
John is way better than Red Cross, having just renewed mine with Red Cross, quite different.
Thank you. John.
You
Yeah.
teach this to staff and students at no cost to them.
That's
Or is
right.
there a minimal
That's
cost?
right.
No.
There is a cost to the school, just, well, it's all High Prairie School Division, so it does cost the division about $35 per student just to get the materials from St. John's.
Okay,
That's it.
but no.
No cost to the
Yeah.
individual.
If you have a letter from the administrating, you can get it for $20 if it's all students.
Really?
Yeah, I wish I told you that in the summer.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's only $20, but as long as you have that letter saying who's getting it.
okay, that's great to know. I'll look into that for sure.
Thanks for that, Lori.
Good us, just look.
And I'll Dean, no.
We rolled out caring for the diabetic student training. That went really well. The schools were really happy to get that extra training. We have quite a few diabetic students in the school system now, so I'm gonna keep that going and keep updating it and revising it every year, making it more interesting, hopefully. Sharps disposal training goes hand in hand with diabetic care, so that was well received. Responding to opioid emergencies at school programs, so I provided training, I created a training course for opioid emergencies. And I went around to all of our, like our junior high and all our high schools and outreach schools and trained the staff, a selected group of staff on opioid emergency response. And that was really great because then I can keep it all school specific. We have Narcan in all the schools now, nasal Narcan in all the schools, high schools and our junior high school now. And so I could keep it really specific on the product that we had and what was expected at school following our AP.
Katie, have we had to use any of our naloxone in the last year?
No.
Yes.
Yes, and hopefully we
never
never
have
have to. Yeah. Right. And then I talked a little bit about the new administrator orientation and training on OH&S expectations at school, so I keep revising that and making sure that our new administrators know how important safety is at High Prairie School Division. Okay, so goals for this school year. I'm always looking at expanding and doing better with our Joint Worksite Health and Safety Committee, which is a legislated requirement through OH&S. And it's tough with everybody so busy during the day. So I keep making baby steps with our committee, trying to make sure that we're doing a little bit more every year. We're looking at hazard assessments now. I have a good group. And our first meeting will be in October, so we'll see who plans on staying on and who, which sites we maybe need to recruit from. We're working on job demands analysis, JDAs, for the EA position first off. And it's really important to break down the physical, cognitive, and environmental demands of a specific job. And that way we can put better tailored controls in place to keep that occupation group safe. And our EAs, as shown by our statistics, are at the highest risk. So we're going to continue to work on that. Our occupational therapist is helping me with that. Kitchen safety. So I want to start doing a little bit more tailored specific training for our kitchen staff. So more fire extinguisher training for them, and they have different fire extinguishers in the kitchen. So tailored to that. We had an incident last year that kind of opens your eyes to things that can happen. So there's going to be a little bit more training coming down for our kitchen staff. And then just keep on implementing these newly created training programs. So anywhere that I find a hole, I build a training program, and then I try to make sure that 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 staff group gets it. And then evaluating and assessing, did it go well? Is that what they need? Did it help them? And working closely with each site and school to grow and improve their safety program. So like our outreach schools have vastly different needs than our commissioner school. So just getting there, getting out to sites, being in the schools, talking to the administrators, the teachers, any occupation group that I can talk to. And yeah, our staff's getting really good at letting me know when there's any questions or concerns, so I'm able to do a better job of specifically targeting any issues that are coming up. And yeah, I'm excited for the new school year.
So are we.
And that's it. That is all I had for you guys. Did you guys have any questions?
I just had a comment just in terms of watching the data that you're bringing forward, like year over year. It's really hard to build a culture of safety because there's so many differing opinions on why are we reporting a sliver, why are we doing this and that, and the indications, especially coming out of the elementary schools where kids just by the nature of things have more incidents. Really shows the fact that you've built a culture of buy-in. And that's really hard to do. So like, I just really appreciate seeing that, because when we first got, I don't even remember who it was in the safety position, and they were trying to start that process. It was like beating your head against a wall, right? And so I just really appreciate that, because I know how hard it is to accomplish that.
Yeah, and the number one thing that helped me with that is teamwork. So I'm here to help. I go into the sites, I offer, if I need them to do something, I show them how to do it. And then I provide them with all of the backup that they need to be able to meet that compliance need. So and they appreciate that.
And congratulations on your certification.
I was
by the
just
way.
gonna say, I was gonna bring.
Like, that's a big thing, so.
Yeah, I'm really glad that that's over with.
Katie, how long did that take you to do?
It took me about the better part of 2 years.
2 years? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, congratulations. Yeah.
Amazing.
All of this, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good to be done. Thank you.
I appreciate the in-house training programs that you're doing on how to, you know, if somebody naloxone zone or anything like that, like. I don't think that you're gonna be able to find a program that exists and you're able to tailor it to our needs. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I really appreciate being able to go into and teaching our own staff, even first aid. I've got first aid specified in certain areas now where I can really tailor it to what our APs say.
Yeah,
So
sure.
yeah, it's good to get in front of staff.
And one thing we've done this year is we now have standardized what first aid course you get. So previously it was a hodgepodge, and schools might use St. John's or transportation uses Red Cross or whatever. We now have Katie doing all that in-house first aid training.
We're gonna have way more staff trained as well now. Cause now I'm tracking it, so, and we'll be able to do research classes instead of the full letting people expire and doing the full 2-day course every time. We'll be able to research our staff, so, yeah, it's good.
That is awesome.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for keeping our staff and students safe in our school division. And I look forward to seeing the goals for next year come out and more numbers.
Less incidents, more numbers.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
It's not the.
All right, so we're moving on to number 7, points to celebrate Kyle Nichols.
I would like to start by welcoming everyone to the 2025-26 school year. Our school will be opening tomorrow. So for any families that have questions about school registrations, etc., you'll be able to reach them. Next, we want to celebrate that our literacy and numeracy frameworks have been posted onto our websites. They have been translated into French, and both versions of the literacy and numeracy framework are online for folks. We've also had them printed, and copies will be going out to all of our teachers as well. So they will have those in their hands. We were also very excited to see that our vertical farm has been installed at Prairie River Junior High School. And by installed, I mean the building is in, it is on pilings. There's still work to be done. We were able to have a look today with our local media, and we can't wait for them to be up and running so our students can start earning credits and green certificates. We are also going to be sending messaging home to all of our families in Ward 1 that we are hosting a community engagement session on Thursday, September 11th at 7 p.m. at Club Alouette in Falher to discuss the renovations and modernizations at George P. Vanier School in Donnelly. And lastly, we want to remind everyone that classes will be resuming on Tuesday, September 2nd, and that our school zones will be back in effect. So to keep on with flashing lights that Mr. Bossert had discussed earlier in the meeting, and keep our kids safe on to and from school. Those are our points to celebrate for this month.
Well, thank you. Anyone have any questions for Kyle? And seeing none, thank you very much, Kyle. We look forward to working with you in September. All right, 8.8, 8.1. Ministerial order. Okay, first we'll be Joy.
All right.
Take a breath.
Just wait, I gotta see if there's a vote thing under here. Oh, says none. Okay,
Okay,
let's
so,
go.
as we know, the Ministerial Order 30/2025 has been implemented for school divisions across Alberta. What it is the ministerial order dealing with the controversial library materials, where a set of regulations has been set out as to what schools need to do to be compliant to ensure that age appropriate material is in front of kids, and questionable or older type material, particularly regarding to explicit and non-explicit sexual content, is classified and made sure that libraries are safe places for kids. So what we have done is we've gone through the ministerial order. By October 1st, we have some milestone dates that we have to complete for the ministry. Some of them including cataloging of all resources in teacher classrooms to make sure that if a parent wishes to see what is in a child's classroom, they will have access to that list, and to make sure that we have age appropriate materials in our buildings. I would like to add that this applies to all HPSD libraries except for CANUSO, because CANUSO is a municipal library. And we also are in the process of setting up a process for any parent or community member who wishes to have a resource reviewed by a committee of HPSD and personnel that is available as well.
Is that everything for you, Murray?
That's it for
Okay.
that's the nutshell for Ministerial Order number 30/25.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns on 8.1? No, we discussed it in June. We'd asked the AP to stay within the ministerial order, not add anything, not become anything else, and to leave it as what the government has mandated for us to do. And so we will continue. Thankful that we got the October 1st date, as we were in our board meeting for the chairs. It was getting tight and wanting for September, and things were, so thankful that we have till October and get our staff back and, you know, things happening again and get it done, and it's easier that way. So yeah, thanks for that to the government, and then we'll continue on. All right, thank you. 8.2.
fairness and safety and sport guidelines for our ASAA sanctioned sport. According to the bill, there is many guidelines that we must follow. They're all fairly explicit. You can see from the draft look in the package. The things that we discussed as a board and have to implement in our version of this procedure, these guidelines is who can make a challenge to eligibility to an athlete and what the implications are for those who choose to make a challenge in bad faith. The eligibility of an athlete. And should someone have a challenge, that person must be an athlete, a parent of an athlete, or a certified coach or manager in that specific sport, in the relevant sport. So we'll only be entertaining challenges from those people. And then should a challenge be made in bad faith, which could be including but not limited to a repeat challenge or a challenge that's malicious in any nature. You've decided that the appropriate sanction for the applicant could be that they violated our code of conduct, which allows us to determine whether it's a letter of warning or anything up to a suspension or a ban from the sport or extracurricular activities. I don't know if anyone has any questions on that.
Again, we did discuss this, and so thank you for staying in those guidelines again, right? The province sets those guidelines for us. We don't need to go above or below. We need to stay and do what we are asked to do. And thank you for doing the code of conduct and keeping it within the guidelines and the things that we had discussed. I appreciate that. Anybody else have anything, Lynn?
Just, and once this is approved, this will go on to our site, right? And anybody can take a look.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we are also making sure that our phys ed teachers and like athletic directors in our schools understand, because it is a high school
Yeah.
thing, that our athletic directors understand this process and can ask questions and understand it well, know what to do. Good.
Wonderful. Anything else?
One other question about this, if parents or students have extra questions, do they just go to the athletic director or the principals or us or? Principals?
Yeah, I would say I direct them to the principal, and then if the principal needs any help, they can,
Yeah, perfect.
I'll find those answers for them if I don't have them.
All right. Thank you for that. Moving on to 9.1 action items. Sorry, this mouse has just a mind of its own today. First, I'll look for a motion for 9.1. Thank you, Adrian. Ooh.
That the board approve the board self-evaluation report as developed at the facilitated workshop of June 26, 2025. That the board chair be authorized to monitor the priorities and suggestions agreed to and bring items forward for the board consideration as deemed appropriate.
All right. Questions, comments, concerns? The motion is on the table. So I think it was a very productive day. I can tell you, working on June 26th, I was like, in God's green earth, did we ever get ourselves involved in? I wanted to check out about the middle of June. But the gentleman in the that we had like walk us through it and do it, they were really good. I thought we did a good annual board evaluation. As a team here, I think if we have something that comes up, we sure don't wait till the end of June to say, you know, when you said in January or something happened in January and we're gonna let it fester for 6 months because someone did something that may not have been appropriate. I think as a board, we're pretty good at bringing it forward. I think we can deal with things as grown-up adults. So I really appreciate all your guys' feedback. And appreciate you guys as a board working with you as a team. I think we work well as a team together. And I think it showed in our evaluation. Thought we did a good job that day, and we left everything on the table and put it all out on the floor. And when we left here, we were still team. We still work good. We didn't leave here frustrated, angry, not hating each other and thinking I don't want to come back in August, and look at you. And I can't say that for every board or committee that I've ever worked with. So I think we do a good job, and our evaluation shows that. Anyone else? Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you, that is carried. 9.2. Yeah, and I'll look for the motion. Corey?
That the board approve the superintendent's evaluation report as developed in the evaluation workshop of June 26, 2025, as an accurate accounting of the superintendent's performance for the period September 1st, 2024 to June 26, 2025. The board authorizes the chair to make any required technical edits and to sign the report on the board's behalf.
All right, motion is on the table. Questions, comments, concerns?
I think maybe. I don't know. I would say it's a lot aligned with what you said regarding that. That board self-evaluation, similar to me. But I don't know. Murray might have something.
I would just like to add that I truly appreciate the fact, as this board has made a commitment to transparency, that this evaluation document is part of the public domain. Whereas I don't know if it was previously, I have no idea. But for me, that's important because I believe it shows the characterization of the relationship between the board and its employee. So I just wanted to say that I appreciated the process, I appreciated the document, and thank you.
Again, I think, you know, we asked for some things. We asked for some solid evidence of things when you became the superintendent of this board. We laid out some things that we wanted to see, and we can tell by the stack of welcome back in August that we have some good hard evidence. And again, I don't think that we wait if something happens in January. Again, we're all adults. We don't need to let that fester and then worry about it in June and say, remember when? So if we have any of those things, we deal with them along the year. And thank you for doing the hard job and being the crazy superintendent and making some big changes in our school division, which for some have been a learning and growing. And for us, I can speak for myself. And I guess on behalf of the board, I appreciate that you let us in your sandbox for that first year especially. And you know, we had to walk along and see what was going on. And then I also appreciate that the sandbox is now yours and we can go back doing our political job. You're going to do your job. And I appreciate the transparency. If there is something going on, you let us know. And standing up for your staff and you know, being the leader for your staff, because we are only one employee and the rest fall under you. And I appreciate that we don't have to walk in that sandbox anymore. That's it's not my jam. I like to keep it higher level now. When I started in 2013, I thought being in the sandbox was my job. I soon learned that getting out of the sandbox is a safer and better place as a politician to be and to stay up there. So yeah, no, I appreciate your work and look forward to this next school year and working with you. So I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you, that is carried. We will move 9.3 to the end of our meeting, or we'll just table it. We need to go back in. We've just recessed close, so we need to go back in. So we will just table this, and then when we're done, we'll come back out for 9.3. So we'll just table it, and then we'll go in, we'll come back out. We'll do all the things that we know we have to do, but we'll table that one for right now. so we'll move on to 10.1. Again, looking for the, oh, Lynn, yeah,
Receive the superintendent's report as information.
fabulous. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to dig out of this report and talk about? Okay.
Have anything?
We're gonna nail you in September. You
Oh,
get
absolutely.
early in August. Yeah, you're gonna wait till September. Corey?
One question, throughout the summer, do you?
Surprised she has one
Yes, I'm
question.
More. Throughout the summer, do you make visits to our schools as well during that time for any reason? Or
Only if something were to come up, but typically no.
Okay.
Yeah, facilities really likes to see us not in the building.
Sure.
That's their
Their time to shine.
So, no, but if something were to come up, yes, but typically no.
Enough. Thank you for letting me ask a question.
You're welcome, Corey. That's your one for the day.
55. Locked and loaded.
Yeah. All right, so seeing no more questions, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you, that is carried. We'll move on to 10.2 to our finance reports. Again, Karen?
Yeah, I will make a motion to approve the accounts payable, accounts receivable, check and EFT register, school generated funds, visa and budget reports as presented in the closed session.
All right. Any questions, comments, concerns, publicly that we can talk about in the public that anyone has? Fabulous, and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you, that is carried. 10.3. Lori Shelp, you want to tell us anything?
It's all written down there when it happened. It was the most disappointing thing to have purchased a ticket to go to Winnipeg and end up in Fost in my kitchen on Zoom meetings and that type of thing. So then I, being such an honest person, refunded the airfare. So now I have a 569 ticket to go to Winnipeg. Going to Winnipeg at some point. And there was also a huge refund on the conference itself because it was no longer in person. And that was due to the wildfires in Manitoba. But it's a lovely report that I wrote for you guys so that you know that I actually do something or paid some attention to.
Always know you do something and pay attention.
And thank goodness I wrote it right away because now I can tell you what it's up. David Suzuki was one of the speakers, and unfortunately they had Murray Sinclair's son was supposed to speak, but he didn't. A lot of stuff on the way that you set up things for the Inuit people with the Q, everything there is Q with no U, so that makes it always interesting. Pull it, I think it's called, with the lighting of the seal oil and that thing. That's how they began it, so, but on video.
Yeah.
Save
Well,
money, didn't
Sad
shop.
that you
didn't
couldn't.
find any earrings.
Yeah, right? Okay, well, thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions for Lori besides what was in the package? Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, and it, yes,
Yeah,
Penner was there. Fred Penner did some singing. He was.
nice, okay. Standing committee reports, do you have anything under those? All right. We have a lot of correspondence. Does anyone want to go through each correspondent or want to pull anything out of these correspondence and talk about? Tammy?
1112, the 2024-25 wrap second D report.
Okay.
I just had a couple of questions in regards to it. The first being, I'm assuming that this is like our logo's on it and so is careers. Is this a report that we gathered data and wrote together for careers?
Correct.
Just noticing some of the key findings in terms of the challenges finding placements, like 85 resumes were received for positions. A number of employers interviewed but didn't hire anybody. And so I'm just wondering a little bit about this, because this is the first time I've seen a report like this for RAP to come to our table. And I'm just wondering, what we're doing to try and
Date that?
build those, because the fact of the matter is, we hear in the community all the time, our kids aren't ready to come to work when they leave school, but if we're not getting the engagement and kids are looking for it while they're in school,
Correct.
it certainly sets them at a disadvantage. So
Absolutely. So we've included this because it's a keen interest of the boards. First of all, I want to start that off. Second of all, with our collegiate status, we're going to be even more trying to engage community more in employment matters. So we thought this would be a good place to start. Right now, I can say that our career coaches are our main defense in helping kids access community venues for RAP or work experience or those types of programs. We also have a dedicated person, and I've forgotten her name. I apologize at this moment. She works 1 day a week in Slave Lake just to reach out to connect with businesses. We're looking at how we can perhaps up that a little bit, just to building those relationships within the community so that kids, when they're looking for their registered apprentice programs, that we can do that. Last year, we reached out to industry in Slave Lake. We were able to speak with them a little bit, some big players. We're trying to build always those relationships because it's always something that is it's pressing. We always need placements, let's put it that way.
Okay.
yeah, no, I think that covers it for now for me.
Are there incentives for business?
I've heard that there are, we'll have to check with Mr. McDonald. We were looking at last year some federal grants that are available to businesses. But it wasn't registered apprentice, it was more of a work experience or job training. So we're looking at how we can incorporate that, at least with the collegiate, so that it incentivizes businesses to do that.
At least, once you get your foot in the door.
Yep.
Once these kids get their foot in the door.
Mhm.
Say students, not kids, but.
Yeah.
Then it just opens the potential possibilities.
I would also like to highlight for 11.1.5 and 11.1.6. Those are just follow-up letters from June's board meeting. And they were just thrown in for informational purposes.
Yep. All right, so we know when our next board meeting is in September. Somebody does, it's in a calendar somewhere, just kidding. Yeah, I'm like, the 16th, I feel like we all know when the board meeting is and we're all gonna show up. So we are going to recess this meeting and go back into close, so. Thank you for that. Yeah, thanks, Kyle.